Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There's something different about you. You've been walking through life with a weight you can't explain, carrying a responsibility you never asked for. But what if I told you that weight was never a burden? It was a badge, a divine one, chosen by Allah. Yes, you. You didn't click on this video just because your algorithm acted up. Allah turned your attention here. Why? Because tonight, something's being confirmed, and you're going to feel it. Some people spend their lives chasing lights, but you've been carrying one all along. It's quiet, it's unseen, it doesn't trend, but the heavens recognize it. And whether you've known it or not, you've been walking with purpose long before you gave it a name. You felt different. And maybe you thought something was wrong with you. But let me tell you the truth, no one else did. The difference isn't dysfunction, it's distinction. When Allah chooses a soul, He doesn't start with celebration. He starts with separation. That means the moment you were pulled away from places, people, or paths, it wasn't rejection, it was redirection. You felt unseen by people, but you were being seen more clearly by Allah. And if you've ever felt like no one really gets you, like you're too deep for the shallow, too real for the artificial, then congratulations. You just might be one of the chosen. Let's get real. The journey of those whom Allah selects isn't soft. It's sacred. And sacred journeys aren't loud. They're hidden, like a seed underground before it blooms. And maybe that's been you, alone in your thoughts, laying awake while others sleep, feeling like your heart wants something more, something higher, something not of this world. That's not confusion. That's your fitra whispering. You were made for something greater. You see, there's a category of believers whose footsteps echo louder in the unseen world than their voices do on earth. They aren't celebrities. They aren't verified online, but they're verified in the heavens. The Prophet said, there are people unknown on earth, but famous in the heavens. Imagine that being you. Imagine your patience during pain being noticed by angels. Imagine your quiet sabr during trials being written in books that don't get torn. You may be questioning right now, but why me? I don't feel strong. I don't feel perfect. Let me tell you something beautiful. Allah didn't choose you because you were perfect. He chose you because you were sincere. And when sincerity meets divine purpose, miracles begin. What you thought were delays were actually trainings. What you thought were losses were actually divine edits to the story Allah is writing with you as the main character. It's not that the world is against you, it's that Allah is setting you apart. And setting apart means not everyone can go where you're going. That's why some people left. That's why you couldn't settle in shallow places. That's why you kept feeling empty in rooms filled with noise. Because Allah's voice was louder in your solitude than the world's noise in your crowd. So lean in. Don't scroll past this moment. Because tonight isn't just another video. It's a moment Allah chose to remind you of who you are, and more importantly, who He is in your life. You're not broken. You're becoming. And becoming starts with awareness. And awareness starts right here. There's a reason why your path didn't look like anyone else's. There's a reason why your timeline didn't match the expectations of the world. While others seem to rise quickly, laugh easily, and build loudly, you were being built silently, quietly. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not in front of the people, but beneath the gaze of Allah. And this hidden preparation, is the signature of the one who chooses souls with precision. Look closely at the stories of the prophets. Were any of them chosen in comfort? Did any of them rise from the embrace of crowds? Or did Allah isolate them, train them, and purify them before entrusting them with a mission? Take Ibrahim alayhi salam, alone against an entire nation, thrown into fire, yet it was the fire that recognized him as Allah's guest. Or look at Musa alayhi salam, placed in a basket as a child, drifting alone in a river before destiny carried him into Pharaoh's palace. Not a mistake, not neglect, but divine choreography. And maybe your story has followed the same rhythm. Maybe you've been drifting, misunderstood, removed from what you thought you wanted. But what if you've only been drifting into your purpose? What if being unseen by the world was Allah's way of keeping you protected while He refined you? You see, when you're chosen, the path won't make sense to spectators. They'll wonder why you walked away from the crowd, why you spend more time in silence than in gatherings, why your tears fall during sujood instead of from heartbreaks. And maybe you've asked yourself, why does it feel like the more I try to get closer to Allah, the more I lose people? That's not a curse. That's clarity. Allah removes those who can't walk with you in the sacred lane. People fall off not because you're failing, but because the road you're on isn't wide enough for everyone. You're not being punished, you're being purified. There's something else too. When you're chosen, even your mistakes get rewritten into guidance. Your regrets don't destroy you, they return you. Your scars don't disfigure you, they decorate you with resilience. People may see the outer struggle, but Allah sees the inward sincerity. He sees the nights you prayed when no one knew, the fasts you held without announcing, the du'as you whispered with a trembling voice. Sometimes it's the quiet ones, the overlooked ones, who hold the loudest places in the heavens. Because Allah doesn't measure you by the noise you make in the world, but by the noise your heart makes in remembering Him. The loudest dhikr is not always on the tongue. Sometimes it's the soul aching to please Allah while fighting temptation, while resisting the dunya, while waiting patiently for relief. And if you felt like life has been slower for you, if your doors have taken longer to open, that's not a sign of rejection. That's a sign of elevation. The higher the building, the deeper the foundation. Allah builds those He loves with care. Not rushed, not careless, but deliberate, with mercy and precision. Because what He has planned for you requires preparation. Let this be a moment of awakening. Your confusion wasn't chaos, it was calibration. Every delay you hated, every detour you cried through, every door that slammed was a lesson, a trimming, a redirection towards something that has always been written for you. And while you're here wondering if you're doing enough, Allah is already writing rewards for the battles no one sees you fighting. So the next time you feel too alone, too behind, or too broken, remember this. Some of Allah's favorites were once lost, but found in the fire. Some were exiled, only to return with revelation. Some were rejected, only to be raised. Or maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what's happening to you now. There are signs, quiet ones. They won't come in neon lights. They won't show up on your phone as a notification. But they're there, subtle, persistent, undeniable. When Allah chooses someone, He places signs in their life, not just to comfort them, but to remind them that their journey is not ordinary. And if you're watching this now, with your heart heavy yet hopeful, chances are the signs have already begun. The first sign? You started to feel uncomfortable with what used to entertain you. The jokes don't land like they used to. The music that once filled the silence now feels like noise. The conversations that once distracted you now feel empty. That's not boredom. That's awakening. Your soul is starting to crave what your nafs never could. That shift isn't random. It's sacred. It's Allah whispering, you're outgrowing the world because you're growing into me. Another sign? Loss. but not just any kind. The type that hits when you least expect it. A friend suddenly distant. A plan suddenly collapsing. A door you were counting on slamming shut. At first, it feels cruel, confusing. But then, something strange happens. Peace follows. Peace you didn't earn. Peace you didn't understand. That's a divine fingerprint. Allah removes to make room. And when He loves you, He doesn't just protect you from harm. He protects you from the wrong blessings too. Pay attention to the moments you've been isolated, not ignored, isolated, pulled away from crowds, disconnected from chaos. Not because you were forgotten, but because you were being remembered by Allah. You were being invited to a different level, a level where He speaks louder, where the dunya gets quieter. Some of the most beloved servants of Allah had to lose their people to find their purpose. And then comes the third sign. You begin to feel a pull, but you can't explain where it's pulling you to. You start waking up thinking of your akhirah. You see verses of Quran and they pierce your chest. You hear a dua and your eyes well up without warning. You look at your past and you feel something shifting. Not shame, but repentance. That pull? That's not anxiety. That's Allah tugging at your heart, calling it back home. Sometimes the signs are even more personal. You keep encountering reminders of Tawbah, or the same surah keeps appearing in your feed. A khutbah feels like it was written just for you. A stranger says something you were thinking in silence. Coincidence? Not in Allah's vocabulary. That's mercy disguised as repetition. He sends the signs in waves, hoping you'll respond, not out of fear, but out of love. And here's something most people miss. Another sign you've been chosen is pain. Not because Allah wants you to suffer, but because suffering has a way of humbling the heart like nothing else. If your heart has ever broken in a way that forced you to call on Allah like never before, congratulations. You've experienced the sweet agony of divine refinement. That pain wasn't for punishment. It was a door. And once you walk through that door, you don't come back the same. You become softer where you were once hard. More grateful in places you took for granted. More alert to the quiet moments where Allah shows His love. When you become chosen, the barakah doesn't come with noise. It comes with depth. It's in the smile you give someone who needed it. In the patience you show when no one claps for it. In the tears that fall on your prayer mat, answered only by Allah. This is the beginning of a transformation, the kind no one else can measure, the kind no camera can capture, the kind that only Allah sees and rewards. Because when He chooses someone, He writes their story with layers. And in every chapter of pain, growth, solitude, and return, there is one consistent truth. He never leaves them empty-handed. So look around you, then look within. If the signs are there, it's not because you're perfect. It's because Allah is pulling you closer, and He only pulls those He intends to honor. When Allah chooses you, the change doesn't start around you. It starts within you. Long before people notice, before your habits shift or your circle changes, something quiet happens in your heart. It beats differently. It aches differently. It doesn't want what it used to want. And suddenly, you find yourself battling an invisible war, not with others, but with yourself. A war between the soul that longs for Allah and the nafs that's addicted to the dunya. You'll notice this inner war growing louder at the strangest times. When you're scrolling aimlessly, and a verse pierces through your feed. When laughter fills the room, but your heart feels distant. when everyone else is sleeping and something in you wants to rise, not for attention but for tahajjud. These moments are not hallucinations, they are invitations. Allah is calling you to take a step, one that may not be loud but is seen by the angels. The journey of the chosen isn't one of perfection, it's one of persistence. You will stumble, you will doubt, you will fall. But every time you rise again, even if trembling, Allah raises you higher. Don't measure your worth by how strong you appear. Measure it by how often you return. That return is beloved to Allah in a way the world can never comprehend. The Prophet said, Allah is more pleased with the repentance of his servant than a person who finds his camel in the desert after losing it. That's not theology. That's love. That's divine mercy in motion. And here's the beautiful, raw truth. Once you've been touched by the light of being chosen, nothing else satisfies you. Not sin, not distraction, not praise. The taste of dhikr lingers longer than applause. The peace of a sincere sajda outweighs the dopamine of attention. You start to crave stillness in a world obsessed with noise. And when that craving takes root, even the heaviest struggles feel lighter, not because they disappeared, but because Allah walks you through them. But the transformation isn't just emotional, it's spiritual surgery. Allah begins removing things that no longer serve your soul. People, habits, attachment. It may hurt, it may confuse you, but every loss is a message. I'm clearing the space for something higher. Sometimes that higher is a new level of patience. Sometimes it's the discipline to guard your tongue. Sometimes it's the strength to let go of someone who was sent only for a season, not a destination. And then, you start noticing things that others overlook. The sunset becomes a verse. The wind reminds you of dua. A child's laughter brings you to tears. Your heart begins to read the world through the lens of Allah's mercy. You cry for others during your sujood. You start checking your intention before every word. This isn't a personality shift. It's spiritual awakening. Your soul is remembering the agreement it made before birth, the one where it said, "Yes, you are my Lord." But don't think it gets easier. It gets clearer. The tests will still come, in waves, in silence, in disguise. You'll still get tired. You'll still have moments where your dua feels unanswered. But deep down, something new will anchor you. The certainty that Allah is with you. Not in theory, not just in books, but with you. Personally, intimately, in the spaces no one else can reach. In awe. That's what makes being chosen different. It's not that life becomes painless. It's that you stop walking it alone. And even when you're in the fire, you remember, if Allah is with me, nothing is truly burning. You develop an inner resilience that doesn't need validation. You stop chasing people who don't see you because you finally see yourself through the mirror of who Allah says you are. And what does Allah say about the ones who strive for Him? And those who strive for us, we will surely guide them to our ways. Surah Al-Ankabut 29:69. The promise isn't just in the arrival, it's in the striving. So if all you have today is the will to keep trying, then know this. You're already walking the path of the chosen. Maybe you've been waiting this entire time for someone to just say it, that your story matters, that your quiet struggle hasn't gone unnoticed, that your secret tears have been collected by the most merciful. So let me say it now, not with my voice, but with truth echoing from the heavens. Allah sees you. Allah chose you. And He's not done with you. You weren't chosen to impress people. You were chosen to please the one who created people. You weren't chosen to walk the path of ease. You were chosen to walk the path of meaning. And the meaning is often paved with loss, with longing, with low moments, but also with miracles, with answered du'as, with moments of beauty you never saw coming. You may not have a massive following, but you are followed by angels. You may not hear applause, but the ink of your perseverance is being written in books that will testify for you on the day of judgment. And while you may feel delayed compared to others, the truth is, Allah is not delaying you. He's preparing you for something bigger, for something sacred. Look back for a moment, not with regret, but with reverence. See how far you've come. See what you've survived. You've outgrown environments that no longer feed your soul. You've made decisions to protect your deen when it cost you comfort. You've sat alone rather than sit in sin. These are not small victories. These are signs of elevation. You've been rising, quietly, consistently, even when you didn't feel it. And if you're still wondering, is all of this really for me? Then let me remind you, the ones who are not chosen don't usually watch videos like this to the end. But you did. You stayed. You felt something. That alone is proof. A proof that your heart hasn't died. A proof that Allah's light is still flickering in your chest. A proof that your soul remembers where it came from and where it's going. So let this be the night where you stop apologizing for being different. The night you stop questioning if your slow path is still a valid one. The night you finally embrace the fact that you were never behind. You were just being built in private. And Allah builds His beloved slowly, carefully, like a craftsman working on a masterpiece that no one's allowed to see. Until the right time. That time is coming. And when it does, you'll be ready. Not because you had the loudest voice, but because you had the softest heart. A heart that stayed attached to Allah when the world pulled. A heart that broke, but broke in the right direction, toward Him, again and again. And now as we end this moment together, I want to fulfill the promise I made to you at the beginning. Let's raise our hands, or bow our hearts, and call upon the one who chose us, even before we knew how to choose Him, Ya Allah. We turn to you tonight, not as perfect beings, but as sincere ones. You see our weaknesses. You see the things we hide. You see the pain behind the smile, the storm beneath the silence, the longing behind every sujood. Ya Rab, only you know how hard it's been. But still, we're here. Still trying, still walking, still choosing you. So we ask you, in this moment, from the depth of our hearts, purify us, heal us, elevate us. Let our struggles not be wasted. Let our pain not be in vain. Replace our wounds with wisdom, our doubts with clarity, our fatigue with strength. Ya Allah, if we are among those you've chosen, then let us walk that path with courage, with sincerity, with grace. And if we are still being prepared, then prepare us gently. Shape us with mercy. Surround us with protection. Guard our iman like you guard the sky, a vast firmament. And forgive us for every moment we forgot you, for every time we thought you abandoned us, for every tear we wiped alone, not knowing you were closer than our breath. Ya Allah, write us among the patient, among the grateful, among the sincere. And when the time comes, open the doors you've kept hidden. Let us walk through them with heads held high, not because of pride, but because of trust in you. Let us become living proofs that those who walk with you, even when no one sees them, are never truly lost. Ameen.